calling for the genocide of Jews does not constitute bullying and harassment?
I have not heard calling for the genocide for Jews on our campus.
But does calling for the genocide of Jews violate Penn's rules?
It is a context-dependent decision, Congresswoman.
So the answer is yes, that calling for the genocide of Jews violates Harvard Code of Conduct.
It depends on the context.
It does not depend on the context. The answer is yes, and this is why you should resign. These are unacceptable answers across the board.
New York Congresswoman Elise Stefanik there, pressing the presidents of Harvard, MIT, and the University of Pennsylvania during the House education hearing on rising anti-Semitism on college campuses. The presidents refused to say anti-Semitic chants like "from the river to the sea" violate the school's code of conduct. Prior to the hearing, Jewish students spoke out about the hate that they have been dealing with on campus.
An Israeli student whose identity and personal info was sold online for a bounty has not left his dorm room in weeks.
Being a Jew at NYU has meant being physically assaulted in NYU's library by a fellow student.
36 hours ago, I, along with most of campus, sought refuge in our rooms as classmates and professors chanted proudly for the genocide of Jews.
Joining me now is Utah Congressman Burgess Owens, a member of the House Education Committee. Congressman, thanks very much for being here, and thanks for being part of that hearing yesterday. What were your takeaways at the hearing?
Well, thanks, first of all, Maria, for covering this. The takeaway is this. We have a system now that is broken. We spent 200 years trying to become a more perfect union. My generation was the first to integrate, and our kids growing up accepting others because that's what we're taught to do. We're finding out that on these campuses we have a evil being taught. I call it it's a virus. It's called DEI. It's a Marxist-based ideology that there is an oppressor race and a oppressed race. When you put whites and Jews as the oppressor, there's no empathy. There's no idea that they could be good people. This is what we're dealing with. So the college camps we saw yesterday is there is no leadership in terms of getting us out of this. We have to make sure as we the people that we are holding these colleges accountable. We're sending our kids there to be injected by evil, and they're coming out hating whites, hating Jews, hating blacks. So they're across the board. There's hatred being taught, and it was very obvious that these leaders, these presidents, have no clue. Actually, they do. They know what they're doing. We just need to start hold these people accountable.
So you think they know what they're doing? I mean, how is it possible that they could not answer yes to Elise Stefanik's question? You pressed Harvard's president on the school holding segregated graduation ceremonies. Let's take a look at that. Watch.
Harvard is now have graduations for black-only graduates, Hispanic-only graduates, and gay-only graduates. How does that bring us together as opposed to dividing us based on color, creed, and all the other things?
There are few scenes that are more inspiring than being...
I'm sorry. Is it okay to segregate people based on their color? Yes or no?
I oppose segregation.
Okay.
But she didn't answer your question, Congressman.
No, because they are segregating people. Keep in mind, we are raising a group of kids that truly hate each other. I've never seen anything like this, where black Americans are now segregating themselves because they do not feel comfortable around white people. They're told not to be. They're not comfortable around Jewish people. What we're seeing right now is a purposely indoctrination of our children. So, first of all, I'm thankful to American people giving us this opportunity to be a majority to have these kind of hearings. I'm so thankful to Dr. Fox for holding this hearing, and for the American people. We knew going into this not to expect very much from these presidents. They are part of the problem. There is a Marxist ideology that's going very, very strong in our nation, and we just didn't see it until now. So I'm so thankful for Dr. Fox for holding this hearing. For the American people, we need to understand these are the places where we do not need to send our kids if we want them to come out productive, proud of who they are, and feeling good about the capitalist system that we have, and feeling that we are truly a we the people society.
Of course.
It's not going to happen on these campuses.
That is absolutely disgusting. I agree. Dr. Fox did a great job by holding that hearing. The House, you're talking about your majority, though, the House Ways and Means Committee holding more closed-door testimony with IRS whistleblowers yesterday, and you can't even get a majority in the party to actually agree that there is criminality in plain sight right here. Lawmakers now reveal never-before-seen evidence that show then Vice President Joe Biden used aliases to send and receive at least 327 emails from Hunter Biden and his accountant, Eric Schwerin. 54 of those emails directly between Joe and Hunter Biden's business partner. The committee released this timeline showing the email activity between Schwerin and Biden spiking around the Biden trip to Ukraine. He and Schwerin exchanged 5 emails in 3 days in the lead up to that trip to Ukraine, and then emailed 27 more times in the run up to the vice president's return trip to Ukraine that November. House Majority Leader Mike Johnson says they will hold a vote on formalizing impeachment next week. Let's take a look.
Previous couple of years, the House Democrats cheapened impeachment. They used it for partisan political purposes. They went after Donald Trump twice. I served on the impeachment defense team twice. We called those sham impeachments, snap impeachments. What you're seeing right now is exactly the opposite of that. You're seeing a very deliberate investigation uncovering and following the facts, following the truth where it leads. This vote is not a vote to impeach President Biden. This is a vote to continue the inquiry of impeachment, and that's a necessary constitutional step.
Congressman, how sure are you that taking this impeachment inquiry to formal, making it formal, that in fact you're going to get cooperation by the DOJ and you're going to actually see these subpoenas and this testimony coming in? I mean, let's face it, the president's brother was supposed to testify today and he skipped it.
Yeah. No, we're not going to get any cooperation. These guys are corrupt. But here's the thing. I can feel they're corrupt. I can know that they're corrupt. But it's important that the American people know that. That's why the impeachment inquiry is in place. It's not impeachment. We're doing it the right way. We're saying we're going to follow the facts. We're going to find the things we can present to the American people and let you understand and decide if this is a place we should go in. So I would encourage everyone. Let's find the truth. Inquiry is what we're after right now. We're going to make sure we get there.
So then help us do that. What's the most damning piece of evidence you have?
There's so much damning, there's so much information coming at us. We have 3 separate committees, and the fact that these guys, this family is making millions and millions of dollars in his position. This family's become very wealthy. We have no idea where the money is right now, but we know it's coming from different places across the country, and every place he goes, there's dollars following him. Yeah. This is not the way this country should be working. This is not the way we should be represented. And I tell you what, there is going to be a lot shown about our president in terms of his being compromised. We use that word compromise. He's turned his back on our country, and he's going to be able to see this through this inquiry.
How disturbing, Congressman. Thanks very much for your leadership on all of this. We'll keep following all of it. Thank you. Burgess Owens joining us this morning.
Thank you, Maria.
And we'll be right back.